Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Mods to Rides. This thing, I messed it up with the Trackhawk. It looks pretty mangled up. I was washing the cars, washing the M5, put the cover on it, and I used this little stool to get on top and clean the roof. I had it on this side, and I was backing up, reversing, and I hit it with the side. I basically crushed it with the side of the Trackhawk against the wall. So I'm going to show you guys the damage, and I'm also going to show you guys how to fix it. Unfortunately, I gotta head out. I gotta go to the cabin. I'm gonna cut the grass because the family, I'm gonna take them during the week. Today's Friday. So luckily, this is pretty much all the damage, or I should say all the damage that was done to it. You can see it's pretty deep. I don't know if you could pick that up, but the nail goes in there. I'm lucky that I didn't do any further damage as far as like dent the door in or anything like that. But I am going to show you guys how to repair this. Hopefully it comes out smooth, or as smooth as I planned it in my head. I have done repairs like this, or that are a little bit worse. So hopefully this shouldn't be too bad. I shouldn't have to do too much work on it. But I'm going to walk you guys through the step. I was worried that this was going to be all bent in. So I guess the little stools right here, I backed up into it, I crushed it, and luckily I think most of my front tire was the one that I think damaged the little stool. Alright, we're back. I have here the things that are needed for the repair. First, you're gonna need a waterless wash system or something to clean up the area that we're gonna be working on. We're gonna clean it with some 91% rubbing alcohol, and then we're gonna need, if you have guns, or you can use a Q-tip, but I got this from my gun cleaning kit. We're gonna clean in the little scratched areas with lacquer thinner. That way we ensure that our repair is pretty permanent. We're also going to use a little blade to kind of squeegee out the extra paint that we're going to be putting in. I'm going to be using 2000 grit sandpaper, and this is going to be the first step, because whenever there's a gouge or there's a cut, what happens is that it basically creates like a little valley, like a kind of like a V shape, and we need to sand down all that area and then fill in the paint. And then once the paint cures, we're gonna wet sand it again, maybe with 3000 grit, and then we're gonna basically just buff it out with some type of rubbing compound, or whatever you guys have that's similar to that. Luckily I have here the touch-up. It's the specific touch-up for my paint code, and I got this one from the dealership, or excuse me, I received this one through the mail from when I first purchased the SRT. I don't know why they didn't send me one for the Trackhawk. I'm not sure if it's, I don't know if I had gotten a protection or something like that you add on there. But this is the same color code as my original truck. If you look at it in the sun, it kind of has like a little bit of glitter in it. So we're gonna start off with that. This, I already shook it up. This, if you can, try to keep it in your pocket or put it somewhere where it's pretty warm, so it shakes up pretty easy. Luckily here the weather is pretty warm, so I already shook it up. So first step is we're gonna have to clean up our area. Okay, so right there, the scratch kind of faded a little bit, or the gouge faded a little bit, but we're gonna make this repair look completely seamless. You're not even gonna know. Next thing is I'm gonna use the rubbing alcohol to clean up the area, just to make sure that it's completely free from any contaminants or anything like that. I'm gonna wet sand it now. Make sure you use a sanding block, because you don't want to put uneven pressure and make the repair wavy, just to make sure it looks like if it never happened. So one thing that I always use when I use wet sand, or the sanding paper, wet sanding paper, is I always wet it for about 10 to 20 minutes prior to using it. This ensures it bends, and if you create any creases, you can always reuse wet sanding paper. So if you take care of this, like if you take care of your detailing towels, it'll last you a pretty long time. So you could tape off the area if you want. I'm not gonna do so because it's pretty straight. There's no angles or anything. So I'm just gonna hit it with the wet sand. And right there, the scratch already feels a lot better. As far as when my hand goes over it, it feels a lot smoother. It's still, my nail still digs in. I don't know if you can hear that. Okay. So I'm done with the wet sanding. I'm going to clean it one more time with the rubbing alcohol. And I'm not putting pressure on it because I don't want to create scratches in other areas where I don't need to do the repair. Okay, now I'm just gonna clean it with the lacquer thinner. So I was lucky I had everything here. If not, you could purchase a small lacquer thinner at Home Depot or something. So I got a little bit on my cleaning Q-tip. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna rub the area, the scratch. Next is we're gonna apply the paint, and you want to be super careful on this step. You want to kind of just keep the paint to the areas that are needed. You don't want to put it in areas where, okay. So make sure you take your time with this. Once you have the paint in there, this is where our little blade's gonna go, or where we're gonna use this. And you could use a plastic one. They sell plastic ones, but if you feel comfortable using a metal one, you can use a metal one. And you want to keep it as flat as you can. And just kind of squeegee it out. See See all the extra paint? So what we essentially did is we just filled in all the scratch or the gouge with paint, and it's basically gonna look seamless. So depending how deep your gauge is, or your gouge is, I'm sorry, or your scratch is, you might have to do this a couple times. So fortunately this wasn't that deep. I lucked out. I don't know how the heck I crushed the little aluminum step stool, but I basically crushed it. This part crushed it, and my tire crushed it. So I was lucky that nothing got bent. If not, I'd had to do maybe some PDR, paintless dent repair. But it seems like what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna leave this to cure for a couple hours, come back and inspect the job to see, because when paint dries it usually shrinks, so you might have to hit it again. So I'm gonna leave it like that for now, and I'm gonna come back in maybe 3 to 4 hours, depending on how. Obviously if you're in cold weather, it's gonna take a lot longer. You might want to put some heat lamps so the paint cures. But essentially from here, what we're gonna do is we're gonna let it cure. We're gonna hit it with the sanding with 3000 grit, and then we're just basically gonna polish just this area, and you're never gonna know that this scratch or this gouge was ever there. Alrighty, it's been 24 hours since I applied my paint. You really can't tell anymore where the scratch is. I can tell because there's just some extra paint here where I squeegeed off the paint with my blade. So what I'm gonna do from here, since I'm satisfied with my paint correction, is I'm gonna hit it with the wet sand, so I could get rid of that paint and kind of blend in my repair. Then I'm gonna hit it with my Griot's 3-inch microfiber pad, since it's a small area, with a all-in-one. If you guys have an all-in-one compound, I guess this is like a compound and swirl all-in-one. So I'm gonna use this, and I'm gonna kind of just do this area right here, and I'm not gonna do any more because I don't want to. There's really no reason for me to go anywhere else, since the truck is fairly new. It doesn't really have that much scratches. So I finished my sanding. As you can see there, the little line is where I did my repair. So I initially started sanding it down a bit, wet sanding it, and you could still feel it. So what I did is, on my kit, or on my paint kit, it comes with a side that has a little bit of clear. So I went in and I filled in the clear. I let it dry for a little bit, then I came back and I sanded it down, and as you can see, you can still see it, but it's already filled in. What you see right there is the clear, but I'm not gonna sand it down anymore. The reason is because I already took a lot of the orange peel out. So if you don't know what orange peel is, all cars come with like a little bit of extra clear coat. Some cars, if you look at them from the side, they look a little bit wavy, kind of like an orange peel. That's where we got this term from. So I don't want to take off any more, because look at I already took off a lot of the orange peel right here, and I don't want it to kind of look different from the rest, or like, let's say, another panel. So I want to keep it consistent. And you guys too, I mean, if you guys already knocked down the orange peel on your paint, a lot of I guess you could say detail people, or places where they polish your cars, if your clear coat is really damaged, what they'll do is they'll take like 2000 grit sandpaper, and they'll sand down the whole clear coat to knock down the orange peel, and then you knock down all the scratches, and then they polish it from here, which you'll get a mirror finish, or like a show finish. But the clear, you sanded it down, so we only have so much thickness of clear coat that you want to kind of preserve on your vehicle. So right here, I'm already done. I'm satisfied with it. Next thing is I'm gonna go with the polishing. If I see that the thing doesn't blend in as good, then I might have to sand it down to where it completely knocks down all this extra clear that you see, but we'll see from there. Alright folks, this concludes the repair. I cleaned it up everywhere around the area because I'm gonna take it back to the dealership because they're gonna do some things to the hood, some final touch-ups that they kind of missed. But let me know what you guys think. You can still tell only like if you see it in person, but none of these repairs are ever gonna be perfect, completely perfect. One of the biggest reasons is because depending on how deep the gouge is or scratch or even hole, that's one factor. Another factor is that the paints, if you apply even if it's the same color code paints, with time they change color with the sun, so it doesn't matter because the old paint is burnt. So with time this is gonna fade even more. You won't even be able to tell. You could tell just a little bit, like kind of right there, right there. I don't know if the camera could pick it up. Yeah, it's just a little bit dirty, but I mean compared to the original scratch, this looks 100 times better. You could barely even tell. So guys, if you like this content, please comment, share, and make sure you guys subscribe. We got more stuff coming on the way. Thank you guys.